The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it's Saturday, and you know what that means? It's time for all the action figure toy news of the week, all the toy news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you out there, and quite the week on the news front this week as well. A lot of wrestling, a lot of He-Man talk, and we're going to dive into all of that here in this very video, a new Saturday tradition, as of course, weekly purchases has moved to Sunday, split the videos up. That's what you guys voted for in the poll. So, toy news on Saturday, weekly purchases on Sunday. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and join me for both of them. Our weekend videos that we have on top of all the other videos here on this very YouTube channel. So make sure you are subscribing. But let's get out with some housekeeping first. How about the giveaway this month for Patreon, the November giveaway? I've switched it up. I did say we were going to give away a Big E figure, and what was the other one? Something else. Well, that's scrapped. I've scrapped it. We're going to give away something else. Instead, we're going to give away the brand new Mattel Retros 4-pack, of course, Mattel Creations exclusive, also on Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle, save 10%. But we're going to give one of these packs away. That will be the Patreon giveaway for the month of November. Thank you to all you Patreon members out there. Stay tuned for the winner later on, early first week of December, let's call it. How about? All right, let's dive in. Let's dive into the news this week, and let's finish it off with Eternia. Yes, we finished off Eternia this week on MattelCreations.com. Once again, the final backer total, 9,291. Of course, we only needed 5,000 to get Eternia, so we blew past that. But 9,291, a little bit short of the 10,000. Let's just call it about 700 short, 700 units short. Now, going to be very interesting, and there's been really no word. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen like an email, a tweet, anything go out say, congratulations, Eternia has been back, thank you for your support, anything like that. Maybe they're still doing some tallying. I don't know if that's the case at all. But of course, we needed 10,000 backers to get Keklar. We talked last week in the Toy News video how Mattel, as a last-second push, they said, guess what? If everybody's going to get a King Grayskull that backs, trying to get everybody up to the 10,000. So I don't know. I talked at length about my feelings of that. I wasn't a big fan. I understand the reasons why they did it. My biggest gripe with that is I think it's going to hurt future crowdfunding, not just for Mattel, but Hasbro. They're going to say, well, Mattel gave us this later. They said it was an early bird, but it really wasn't. And then we all know the people that support right away on these things, those are typically your hardcore fans, your most invested fans. Well, they helped you at the beginning, and then you said, yeah, we're going to give it to everybody. And then also the other thing, I don't know if we talked about it last week, the people that backed right at the beginning, there was no pay-in for options, things like that via Mattel. They got that later on. So you really did, like I said last week, stuck the middle finger up to some of your hardcore fan base, which is never good. I don't care if you're selling a bag of chips, a bag of bread, or you're selling hammers. You never want to make your consumer mad, and that's what they did a little bit with this one here. I think to really save face, they're so close to that. They know, let's give everybody a Keklar. Well, you already showed the precedent with King Grayskull. Why can't you give everybody a Keklar? Everybody tried their hardest. It did blow away expectations. Give everybody a Keklar. You did it with Grayskull. Give it Keklar to us. That's what I think Mattel really should do. I'm not going to hold my breath to see that happen, but now the precedent's there. I expect things like this. I expect, hey, you gave everybody a Grayskull. Why can't you give me a Keklar? Come on, let's help us out, Mattel. So it's a really crazy thing that Mattel has done with this one. I think they need to lay low and put some time before the next Kickstarter, Mattel Creations thing, whatever you want to call it, because I think there's going to still be some thoughts in the back of people's heads about things like this. So very interesting, very close. I did think it would hit 10,000 to 11,000, and then I don't know, 3 weeks ago I said I think it's going to be a nail biter to 10,000. It kind of was, about 700 short as we see. Who knows, maybe they'll up this number. I don't know if like the Big Bad Toy Stores, Entertainment of the Earth, overseas places, maybe they back some of these that will go into that final number, but we're a couple days past expiration. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there, but an interesting story that somebody could write a book about one day on some of these HasLabs and Mattel Creation things. Talk the history of all that and the ups and downs of these. There's always ups and downs, as we know, going all the way back to the Mattel New Generation Ring, if you guys watch those videos here on the channel. So there's the Eternia talk. How about a little tongue lasher? Yes, tongue lasher. I'm going to give you guys all a tongue lashing. Well, we all know that is a Masters of the Universe character. He is coming to the Origins line. We saw some pretty pictures of him looking good. I'm all in on the Year of the Snake Men. The Snake Men is supposed to come in 2023, but you'll see tomorrow, spoiler alert, in weekly purchases, Snake Men came early, and we'll talk about them tomorrow in weekly purchases, or early for Patreon. But there it is. But Tongue Lasher is coming. How about we dive into some wrestling action figure news of the week? A lot going on in the wrestling figure world, and much like last week, a little bit of Mattel this week, but a lot of the ancillary, a lot of the third parties going on this week, and I think that's going to be the wave of the future. There's so many different toy lines for wrestling right now. We all know the dollar's not going as far as we would like it to. It's going to be interesting 1 year from now how many of these third-party companies are still around. It is truly a buyer's market right now. If you're trying to sell any of your stuff, I mean, I see a lot of this stuff on eBay and stuff I've clocked, long game stuff. I'm seeing a lot of stuff going extremely cheap, a lot cheaper than it would have even 6 months ago. So it truly is a buyer's market. If you're in the mood to buy some stuff, some of your long game items, now's the time to step up, because there's not a lot of people, trying to sell stuff. Or there's a lot of people trying to sell stuff. There's just not a lot of buyers getting there, so it's driving the prices down on a lot of long game stuff. It's going to be tough to sell some things this Christmas, but we'll see. We'll see how it all ends up shaking out. But some of the things that went on this week, of course, the biggest one, Friday, MattelCreations.com. Hopefully you guys all got one, and we unboxed it on the channel. I got to thank Mattel once again. Huge shout out to them. They sent me an early copy to review. I thought that was really cool, obviously. But I'm buying these still, of course. I had to go to Mattel Creations. I had to get a second pack. I'm a mint on card set, and I got a loose set, of course. But the Hogan Terry Funk set, Mattel Creations. Hopefully, if you wanted one, hopefully you got in on that one. It did go up on the Mattel Creations site on Friday. Very interesting. Throwback to the LJN days. I like that they're putting a superstar Hogan with superstar to me, Terry Funk, but business hat, knowing it's going to be tough to move an Ultimate on him on his own. I think that's a smart move with these LJNs, because you got some tippy top guys, and then let's be honest, you got the Ted Arcides of the world as well. So not that they're going to make him, but you put a huge heavy hitter with somebody maybe a little bit lesser in the sales department. It works out for everybody. It gets us the deep cuts. It gets us the big stars. We all win right there. And it was a $70 price point on that one. I thought that was very fair for a limited exclusive, beautiful packaging. You got to think most Ultimates are $32, $33, so you're paying just a little bit more for a more limited item, and it does have much more detailed packaging. So I thought it was a tremendous value. I'm excited for round 2 or round 3, depending how you want to call it, of the Coliseum collection. I think we'll find out the answers, who's in the next wave, sooner rather than later. Whoa, stop the clock. It's Future Kyle breaking in with some breaking news late Friday night. Of course, Steve Ogier from Mattel, he did go live on his Instagram. He did announce the Coliseum collection wave 2, wave 3, depending how you score it with the Sergeant Slaughter. But the next wave will be Jake the Snake Roberts, will be Ravishing Rick Rude. Pretty cool to get those two in Ultimates. Makes sense. They had a feud. They both had LJN figures. I'm here for that all day long. I think a lot of people will be very excited about that pack as well. So very cool. Next wave of the Coliseum collection. And as I'm filming, Terry Funk, Hulk Hogan, still up for pre-order. You can pick that up at MattelCreations.com. I know we talked about it a little earlier. People will say if it sold out right away, what are they doing, Mattel? How dare you? If it hangs around like it has now, boy, this must be a massive failure. Absolutely not. I mean, putting the business hat on, and I did wear the business hat, sometimes it's an interesting thing. Things like San Diego Comic-Con, that's got to be truly limited. That causes the excitement about the line, things like this. This is a Mattel Creations exclusive. Now, they want everybody that can have one to have one. Obviously, they don't want to have it up there for 10 years. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle. You got to work that scene out a little bit. But it's one of those things. If you make too little, it sells out right away. Yeah, that feels great, but you're like, how many sales did I miss? How many sales did I miss? You talk in the grocery industry. Let's use that for an example. You bring in a bunch of bread. You bring in a couple trays of bread or whatever to the store. You sell all those trays out at 9 o'clock Friday night, knowing Saturday morning you're going to be back in that store 9 hours later. There's a 12-hour window right there. How many sales did you miss? Yes, you're fresh. Yes, you sold out. Yes, you did a good job. But how many sales were missed in that 12-hour window? That's why it's not a bad thing for these Ultimate Creations to stay up a little bit longer. A couple of days, that's not going to hurt anybody. Heck, a couple of months aren't going to hurt anybody around the holidays as well. Mattel is a business. They got their business hat on. They want to make as much money as possible. San Diego Comic-Con, a little bit of a different animal. Mattel Creations, they got to find that window. And I think they took a lot of learnings, constant learning, constant improvement, as I always say. They took some of those learnings, I have a feeling, from the Masters of the Universe line, as they've had the guys like Grizzlor and Keldor, things like that sell out very, very quickly, disappointing a lot of fans. Now they've upped those, said, hey, we know we need more. We're going to re-release Grizzlord. We're going to do that kind of stuff. That stuff's going to transfer over to the Mattel line as well. Don't get too crazy. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. A wise man once told me that, and that's the truth there. So a little business talk, but Mattel Creations, a little update from Future Kyle. But that did go up for pre-order on Friday, so get on that. How about a little Zombie Sailor? Zombie Sailor coming in hot this week with some pictures. A little bit confusing to me, and I haven't really figured it out yet, but it's Jack Tunney. Very cool, a Jack Tunney figure. If you're my age bracket, we all know Jack Tunney. He was really the president of the United States to young Kyle and probably a lot of you guys at the time. I was like, man, Jack Tunney's here. It's all going down. Just wild. A wild time. An Authority figure that was totally different than what we've seen in the last 20 plus years of Authority figures. Just a different time, and some ways a lot better. I think we'd all agree on that. But Jack Tunney, interesting that he didn't announce, or I didn't see it anywhere, Zombie Sailor. Is he doing variants of Jack Tunney? Is there going to be 3 different ones with different suit colors, ties? I'm going to tell you right now, I hope not. I don't want to see more than one Jack Tunney. One and done is good. Nobody wants variants of Jack Tunney. All that is doing is making completionists absolutely insane, making them buy another Jack Tunney. So I really do hope Zombie sticks to one Jack Tunney. Make a variant of your Andre the Giants, your heavy hitters. Jack Tunney's a guy that doesn't need variants. And I would love to see Jack Tunney in a future Build-A-Figure wave from Mattel. How hard could he be to sign? If Zombie got him, how could Mattel not get him? So I'd hope maybe we're going to Build-A-Figure Jack Tunney one of these days. Hopefully next year. I think that would be a major coup for Mattel. Give us the Jack Tunney Mattel figure. But if you want Zombie Sailor, he's coming sometime in 2023. Hastel Toys, he coming in hot again. He's putting his name out there. He's giving us a little bit of something every single week, and that's what you got to do. Promote, promote, promote. Always be pushing your products. Always getting your word out there. Zombie Sailor's done a good job of it. And Hastel Toys, last month or two, he's been out there every single week. Well, this week he announced Tatanka, his good friend. Him and Tatanka, good buddies. He is coming to the retro line that he is putting out, and we're getting an interesting version of Tatanka. It's going to be him in white pants, so a totally different version of Tatanka. It sounds like Hastel Toys also partnering up with Rush Collectibles, and I know a lot of chatter's been going out there. The major pod guys have been talking about it. I've been talking about it for a few weeks as well. All these companies, they announce so many things. I mean, it really is, and I think the major pod talked about it this week on their channel, on their podcast, that it's really an artwork story. That's what it is. Here, it's all about artwork, not about the figures, and it is really ridiculous how many of these companies just show us artwork and nothing else. And I'm waiting to get some figures in hand, see what all the fuss is about after all. I'm not an art collector, I'm a figure collector, and that sums it up pretty good right there. But Hastel Toys bringing us Tatanka. That's a pretty heavy hitter name, I would say. Another big announcement this week, Power Town. We've talked about Power Town. Power Town Series 1. Pre-sale is over. It's gone. They're going to move on to Series 2. Hopefully that pre-order goes up first of the year, maybe something like that. But Power Town came in, and we all know Steve, part of Power Town with Magnum TA, and of course Greg Gagne. Oh, Greg Gagne. Power Town coming in with a Remco reboot. So obviously we all remember the AWA Remco figures. Greg Gagne, a big part of that. Steve Rosenthal, a huge part of that. Magnum TA, not so much. But they know Remcos, and they got the name, they got the license. Now they can re-release, or I should say release, Remco-style figures with the Power Town branding. Throwback packaging, having the name, all that. Very cool to Remco fans, and we've made it known, we as in me, I've made it known on the channel, Remcos do absolutely nothing for me. It's wild, I know. I was a kid, I loved He-Man toys, but for some reason, Remco wrestling's not on my radar. It does predate my wrestling fandom, or at least me seeing them in stores. I was all about LJNs and onward. Remco's a little bit before the LJNs. Same time for a little bit, but I just never did anything with Remco. So I don't have a nostalgia feeling for Remco, and I don't want to go backwards to Remco figures. So I might buy one of these if it's a character I really like. I mean, if they make somebody I love, like let's say a Terry Funk or something, if they made him, I'd probably pick it up, see what all the fuss is about, but I don't see myself going down the completionist or even collecting a line of a Remco. Everybody says, oh, you know, everybody loves that WWE Superstars, Masters of the Universe styling that's going on right now, and I do. I absolutely do. I'm all in on the Superstars line. You guys know I'm all in on Masters of the Universe Origins. But I need that articulation. I don't want old school He-Man style figures, and I think that's what Remco is going to give us. Who knows? They might shock the world. I don't know if it's been officially announced which way they're really going to go with this, but if they give us that articulation and it really does blend in with the Superstars line, I don't know. I might have to walk back my statement, but if they're going old school Remco, going to give everybody the same body with some different colors and a different head, that's not going to be for me. But if it's more geared towards the Origin Superstars Masters WWE Universe style and they look really good, that might be tough. That might be pulling me in. But straight up Remco releases, not for me. A rehash of that line with the limited 5 points articulation, that is not for me. So I'm anxious to see where that goes. More news soon, I'm sure. But I think next year, Powertown, if all goes to plan, they're going to have pre-orders about every single month from all the different lines. They're going to have trading cards. They're going to have minifigures. Of course, they're going to have the Powertown Elite-style figures. Then they're going to have these Remco-style figures. Quite the business model, but it goes back to what we said just a few minutes ago. How many people can support these things? How much money is there to support all these lines? That's going to be the tough time for, I think, Powertown and some of these other companies. So there you go, a little Powertown update this week. Speaking of retros, Rush Collectibles, we haven't seen anything in hand yet, but they say they're moving the chains. The chains are moving. They're getting closer and closer. Fingers crossed that is true, but they showed off Larry Zbyszko, and they partnered it with a Series 1 Hulk Hogan Hasbro. Interesting enough, I mean, it doesn't get more plain Jane than that Larry Zbyszko figure. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I did pre-order that Zbyszko figure for science reasons, of course. We'll see how good that is, but Rush Collectibles moving the chains a little bit more every day. It seems that way, so we'll see on that. One I was really excited about, and I don't know if it was supposed to be sent out, but Jordan Grace, Impact Pro Wrestling, I think she's the women's champion currently, actually. She did show on her social media her prototype of her Series 1 Impact Wrestling figures. With all the craziness of Chella kind of walking away and stuff, going over to Wrestling Trader, I wondered, nobody said anything about this Impact line. We haven't heard anything about the line in 2 months, a month and a half, something like that. There's been no word on what's going on. Is this line going to continue? Is it actually going to happen? Well, Jordan Grace showed off the prototype figure. They're supposed to be elite scale, so very interesting. Impact getting a toy line. I'm all for that. I think there's a lot of guys and gals over there we'd love to have figures of that I don't see any other way to get figures from. Heck, we could get a modern day Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray. There's a lot of guys over in Impact that are really good that I would love to see figures from. And we do know we're going to get some of these, it sounds like, because she did show off her prototype figure. It looks okay. We'll wait for some paint. We'll wait for some of that. But at least, once again, the chains are moving. The chains are moving a little bit. So be on the lookout next year, I would hope, for Impact Pro Wrestling figures via Wrestling Trader, because I don't think it's Chella anymore, so Wrestling Trader. So stay tuned for that as well. A few other things this week. We did see going around the old interwebs out there, Elite 101. Looks like we got the leaked lineup. We'll see what happens. A lot of these leaks do end up coming true, but this is Elite 101. Can you believe it? Elite 100 is going to be here early 2023. Who knows? Maybe the way things go, it could be early December or late December. I'm going to guess 2023, but 101 will be on the heels of that. We're going to get Kevin Owens. I'd say he's due for an updated Elite figure. That makes sense to me. One I'm extremely excited for, Johnny Knoxville. Love me some Johnny Knoxville. I'm all in on an action figure for Johnny. I'm very excited for that one. We're getting Sonya Deville. Once again, that makes sense. She was on TV for a lot of last year in a general manager role, things like that. It'll be interesting what kind of Sonya Deville we do get. Ricochet return to the lineup. Been a while since we've had a Ricochet Elite. That works there. And then a big one, Cody Rhodes, his first Elite back. We do know we got a basic that is out right now, Ringside Collectibles. Save 10% with discount Kyle. Discount code Kyle, there it is. Cody Rhodes basic there. We'll get, this will be his first Elite back in 101, and then we're going to get the Ultimate Edition, I would assume, May, June of next year, something like that. So be prepared. It's going to be the Cody Rhodes wave. Personal good friend of the channel here, Cody Rhodes. I can tell you what, Cody Rhodes, he stepped up to the plate. He backed Eternia. He did it. Good for Cody. I'm all in on Cody back in Eternia and all the Masters Universe figures. He collects those guys. So Cody is coming to Elite 101. And then finally, one that's really cool, one I've been wanting since the Jax days. You know, we're supposed to have it from Jax, supposed to have it from Mattel. Sounds like we're finally going to get it. It is Mr. America Hulk Hogan. Very, very tongue-in-cheek, very old-school territories. It's like Dusty Rhodes, Midnight Rider, the Yellow Dog, Brian Pillman. Very much in that kind of headspace, but I'm here for that Mr. America. I'm very excited to see that one coming to market. So Elite 101, got to think pre-orders are going to be in about a month, 6 weeks, something like that. Of course, Ringside Collectibles, you can save 10% with discount code Kyle. So a few other things, though. Thanksgiving sale at Ringside Collectibles. You know, Ringside, they always have huge sales for the end of the year, and the Black Friday sales, and then Black Friday 1, 2, 3. I'm interested to see how deep are some of these sales going. Part of me doesn't want to look, because we all know how it is. You buy something on Ringside, oh, I paid $25 for that Elite, but I needed to have it. and then you see it, 6 months later, it's $4.99. Bronson Reed, perfect example. He's like $4.99, one of the best elites of last year. If I could have played the waiting game for a year, I could have saved, $20, $23, something like that. But that's neither here nor there. But if you're a long gamer, there's a lot of deals to be had over at Ringside. And as always, discount code Kyle saves you 10%. And speaking of hot deals, Entertainment Earth, another good supporter of the channel here. Of course, discount code Kyle saves you 10% all in-stock items. And anything over $39 does ship free. But if you go, here's my recommendation. I talk about it all the time. Go to the Hot Off the Truck. I don't really pre-order a whole lot of stuff anymore. This is a pro tip here. I'm looking around. Nobody's listening. It's just between you and me. Go to the Hot Off the Truck. All the new stuff comes in there. Every single day they update that one. Don't pre-order it. Get it hot off the truck. You immediately save 10% on those new things right as they come in. Because, yes, you can pre-order, but there's always extra for the most part. And you can save 10% right away. Get free shipping if it's over $39. Got to get a deal. But also, they have a clearance section of their site. Hot sales and some super hot sales. On Super 7 especially. You want some of those older Super 7 Ultimate waves, you can get it for 20-some bucks, more than half off. And one that they just dropped down to price like $21, save 10% as well. That Red Rage Toxic Avenger Toxie, a sleeper figure. That is an awesome figure. It scales really good with your Super 7 Turtles. I love that figure with the black light. 21 bucks. It's like they're giving that thing away. An awesome figure. Strongly recommend getting that Toxie out there. So a little bit of plug-in for those, but there's some deals to be had over at Entertainment Earth and Ringside Collectibles right now. Got to get a deal. You guys know that. McFarlane coming in this week with his accessory pack 2, of course, his gun pack. McFarlane, say what you want about him. Of course, I love his stuff going all the way back to the olden times of the 90s. Definitely some frustrations. Omega Spawn looking at you. More on Omega Spawn and weekly purchases tomorrow. You won't want to miss that. You will not want to miss that news out of that video. But we have had some quality control issues from time to time, and it happens. It's not everybody, but it happens. But the accessory pack 2 of guns up on McFarlaneToys.com. Tons of different weapons. I need to find a checklist to say, hey, this gun goes with this guy, and this guy. And this is McFarlane working his way around the system. As we all know, DC, they do not want, or Warner Brothers more like it, doesn't want weapons like guns, of course, with their superheroes, their DC superheroes. So McFarlane, his hands are tied. But McFarlane being a genius, a toy genius, he says, how do I get around this? I know, I'll sell accessory packs to weapons. And those weapons may be for the Red Hood. They may be for Batman. They may be for Joker. But it's just generic. And then in the glamour shots, shows them with Spawn, which is his creation. So they're holding those weapons. Doesn't have any DC guys holding them. But it's a way to work your way around the system. I think that is absolutely genius. I really enjoyed the accessory pack number 1. I pre-ordered series 2. So if you're into that, check out the McFarlane website. Got to get a deal out there. Got to get a deal. So there is that. I also wanted to talk about Marvel Legends, one of the last big things here this week. Marvel Legends came in. We've talked about these things a while back, but they finally announced the wave that they are in, and we're getting Extremis Iron Man, another Iron Man, of course. We're getting an Ultimate Captain America. Both of those seem a little soon to me. We just got a Captain America 20th anniversary figure, but it is what it is. We're getting another Captain America. Yelena Belova, Wonder Man, not my classic Wonder Man, but a lot of people's classic Wonder Man. That is coming to the series here. Molecule Man, Baron von Strucker, Orb, a Ghost Rider villain, looks really cool. I'm all about a big eyeball. It looks awesome. And then Puff Adder from the Serpent Society is the Build-A-Figure. An interesting wave here. A deep cut wave for the most part. Obviously, Iron Man, Captain America, not so much. The rest, extremely deep cuts. How's that going to sell at retail? I'm not exactly sure, but there's a lot of vocal fan base of the Marvel Legends saying, we get too many MCU. They don't sell. Nobody wants MCU. Nobody wants MCU. We want comic figures. Well, now Marvel Legends and Hasbro throwing a huge bone out there. I just don't know how well these guys are going to sell. I mean, a lot of these guys, I honestly, C and D level figures, I absolutely love that. I love it being a hardcore fan base. But being said, taking that step back, if you're a casual collector, if you're a child collector, are you going to pick up Baron von Strucker? Are you going to get that Yelena Belova? Are you going to be like, I don't know who they are? It's going to be interesting to see how well that wave sells. My gut really does tell me you wait 8 months after they come out, these will be like $6.99 figures. I just feel that's the way it's going to go with this wave. Obviously, Captain America, Iron Man, they'll probably move because everybody loves those. I'll get them right away because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. I should have it tattooed on my forehead. Sucker. But I'm excited for the Orb, especially. Puff Adder, I love building teams. I love big figures. Wonder Man, I remember that one, so that's an okay one. Molecule Man, Very, very plain Jane, very like 70s, 80s, which it looks like the character, but not a really exciting one. Yelena Belova, I'm not even familiar with this version. And Baron von Strucker, I guess he'll look good on my team shelf as well. But it's a mixed bag wig for sure. We'll see what we think about that. But that is up for pre-order in all the usual places, the Entertainment Earths, Big Bad Toy Stores, Amazons, all that kind of stuff. Be interested to hear your guys' thoughts. You picking those up, you passing, you playing the long game? Let me know in the comments down below. One last thing to talk about. I think I'm looking at my notes here. Before we get to Album of the Week, one thing I want to start promoting, and we'll promote it through about Christmas time, but the Fig Cave. If you guys are familiar with the Fig Cave podcast, shout out to those guys. Also, of course, the Fig Cave Facebook group, one of the many wrestling figure groups out there. They are doing a toy drive, so I said I would promote them for them. And of course, the Major Pod, well, everybody knows about their toy drive every year. We really should give back, and it's an easy time to give back right now. Talked about those ringside collectible sales. They got tons of basic figures up for $2.49 a figure. Like Otis Elite, I think he was $4.99. A lot of that stuff is really, really cheap. But the Fig Cave, I put the things up here on the video. But if you want to send them a toy or send them or work it out with them, however you want to, go through Ringside, send it to Phil's P.O. Box, whatever you need to do to get some toys in the kids' hands. They are going to give away Elite figure, maybe even an Ultimate figure, maybe. Maybe tell them Kyle sent you, and maybe you'll be in a big drawing. So they're going to do a drawing out there for people that send in figures. But it is that time of year. We always got to donate to our local Toys for Tots. We have a lot of fun with action figures, but as we know, there's a lot of kids that don't get to have that fun with action figures, and that's where you got to give some stuff off. All year long, I bought a lot of different top picks, things like that I've seen on the figure hunt videos. Check those out, especially this week's. Ooh, that Wisconsin one, almost an hour-long fig hunt this week. But pick up things for cheap, pick up some clearance stuff, and you can donate that to your local Toys for Tots, or send it in to the Fig Cave one or the Major Pod one. Whatever you do, just donate some toys to the unfortunate kids out there. There you go. So a lot going on this week. A little bit slower news week. I got to think the rest of the year will be a little bit slower. You never know how it'll go, but that's usually the way it goes. A lot of people on vacation, a lot of holiday time. No rest for the wicked here. I'm in my busiest season I've ever been in. I barely have time to film videos. You wouldn't believe the hours I'm filming some of these videos. Most of you guys are probably sound asleep. But I got to get them in. I've got a lot of travel. I was in Wisconsin all last week, going to Minneapolis this week, just all over the place. Got some big meetings, some year-end meetings, some top meetings, you name it. I'm just a world traveler at this point. But I'm getting the videos out there. I'm very dedicated to my own fault. Never give up, never surrender. You guys know how it works. But how about Album of the Week this week? I'm going with Dead Cross 2. Dead Cross is a weird one. It's Mike Patton. It's a bit of an all-star band. Dead Cross 1 came out 4 years ago, let's call it. If you like Mike Patton, of course, Faith No More, Mr. Bungle, Fame, and then a million avant-garde bands, things like that. It's an interesting one. It's a thrashier, more heavy metal one, but I don't know what it is for me. I can't click with the Dead Cross. I couldn't click with the first album, which I was so excited about. I was like, oh my gosh, Dave Lombardo from Slayer on drums. I'm going to love this. And I love Mike Patton, one of my favorite vocalists. I just couldn't get into it. And Dead Cross 2, I've listened to it once. I can't get into it either. It's really weird. It's like this musicians of guys I like that will come together for this band, like they didn't form what I want to hear. Very, very strange. I can't figure it out. I don't know. But Dead Cross 2, if you're into that kind of stuff, it's a bit of a deep cut, but definitely check it out. If you're a Mike Patton fan, Dave Lombardo fan, you guys get the idea. But that did come out last week. Gave that a spin. I'm going to give it one more spin. I'm going to give it one more try, and we'll see what happens with that. Big news, of course, talked about it last week. Rob Halford, Judas Priest and the Boys going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Kinda. Not the traditional way, but they're still in. They're still technically in. And I think that's on HBO this weekend. I got to set my DVRs. I got to go to a wedding this weekend. Like I said, I'm a busy man. But I will be watching that. But it was so cool to see Rob Halford and Dolly Parton doing a duet on Jolene. My head just went bow and exploded. We love some Dolly Parton here on the channel. We love some Rob Halford. So what a wild one there. Of course, Dolly is making a rock and roll album. Kudos to her. She said, I shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If they're going to put me in, I better have at least one rock and roll album. So she's working on that. Hopefully she brings Halford in and they do Islands in the Stream or something like that, or a real duet. I'd be all there for that. But that's just a wild picture. Just really one of those pictures just blows your mind that I'll never forget. Never forget. And I'll never forget you guys. And don't forget me either. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some, and even more on the Patreon. I was checking out the Patreon the other day. I was counting them up. There is over 50 Jack's Classic Superstars videos on the Patreon early that have not went to traditional YouTube. Basically a year's worth of Tuesday Jack's Classic Superstars videos for you on the Patreon if you scroll through all that. plus all the other videos of the week, bonus content, Q&As, all kinds of stuff, dog stuff, you name it, pizza reviews, it's all over there on the Patreon, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Patreon. And this month, like I said, the giveaway is the Mattel 4-pack over there on Patreon. So thank you, all those that do support the channel. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, Patreon. Don't forget social media, SirPaul64 is where you'll find me on Twitter, Instagram, of course, _Kyle_Peterson. So I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way to a wedding, and I'll see you guys all real soon.